Hello everyone, John Maher here. It's Thursday, the 4th of December 2025. This is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the Dairy Edge. So what has happened in the week gone by? We're now in early December, I suppose, in terms of grass supply. We're on target at about 730 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, but not everyone has completed their final walk or assessment of grass supply yet. And I suppose we'll do one more week of this podcast to see where things are at. Growth was surprisingly better than expected, and this has helped the figures. But as I said, not everyone has walked. It was interesting looking at the figures that the farmers with the higher average farm cover grew more than those with lower average farm cover by about 3-4 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day, which has been the trend now since about the 1st September. So when we examine the figures a bit further, about a quarter of farms have an average farm cover of less than 600 on average, and another quarter of the farms that have walked in the last week or so have an average farm cover of greater than 700 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. I suppose about 50% of farms have an average farm cover between 6 and 700, which is not bad, but there is huge variation in the groups when you look at it. Like the average of the bottom group is less than 500 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, and the average of the group with the most grass is over 800. That's a huge variation in grass supply on the 1st of December, which will result in a huge variation in grass supply on the 1st of February. Farms with very low cover is screaming shorter grass supply in the spring unless there's exceptional growth rates across the winter. Speaking of which, like we normally talk about 3 or 4 kilograms of dry matter per hectare per day during December or January, which adds about 180 to 250 kilograms of dry matter onto your closing cover for the 1st of February. So, speaking of targets then, I suppose for most farms that are stocked over 3 cows per hectare calving in January, compact calving, they need at least the very minimum is 700 this week and probably closer to 750 or 800, to be honest, in terms of farm cover. Anyway, for farms that haven't walked, it's a good time to do it now in the next few days. Most farmers should be finished grazing at this stage. There are still a small amount of farms still grazing, which is fine if the average farm cover is well above 800, but if it's not, grazing should cease really. But the priority this week is to walk, and I suppose to see where we are in terms of grass supply, because this has a huge bearing on grass availability in the spring. I suppose almost finally then, I think it's no harm that we remind ourselves just to do a check on where the farm is in terms of fodder. I suppose if your grass cover targets are behind on the 1st of December and you or the farm is tight on silage supplies, then an escape plan would need to be developed, I suppose. So decisions have to be made really. In terms of guides, then I suppose about one livestock unit or a cow eats, I suppose, around 1.5 bales per month. I'd say on the cow side, that's the minimum they would eat. So just keep that in mind and you can start doing the numbers. Or, or a ton and a half of standard silage, I suppose, per livestock unit. What else we need to say to you at this stage? The pasture base website, just to remind people, will be down from Monday the 8th of December to Wednesday 10th of December for essential maintenance. So it would be good to get the closing covers entered before next Monday. Make sure to, if you're using the app, to synchronize your data on the PBI app, I suppose. And but the PBI website will be available on the 11th of December for normal use. But there's no harm with just for those who haven't walked to establish where we're at, because it has a big bearing on what's going to happen in terms of grazing in the spring and, more importantly, grass supply in the spring. I should also remind people that we're now in the month of December and coming into January. We're in soil testing season. We normally ask for about 6 weeks to 2 months after your last application of compound fertilizer or slurry to let things kind of settle down a bit. So yeah, we're in soil testing season, and it's something that's important to keep an eye on. When we look at the soil fertility stats, while we're making a level of progress, we are way behind in lime, P and K, where we need to be. This has a huge bearing on both the performance of the sward, the survivability of the sward, and more particularly, I suppose, the response to nitrogen fertilizer. If they're compromised, the efficiency factors just drop away. So they're my bits and pieces. We'll do one more podcast next week. If you would like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website, and the link to this newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. Would also like to thank the support of AIB, Grassland Agro, Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine, FBD and the Farmers Journal to the Grass10 campaign. This has been your Grass10 update, and I will talk to you all next week, when I hope the figures will be as good in terms of grass supply for early December. Talk to you then.